Before a big game, you stretch, right? Before a test, you cram those last-minute notes. It's something we all do. We have these little rituals to get our bodies and minds ready for something important. Well, today, we're going to dive into a really specific, ancient practice of preparation called wudu.
So what is wudu exactly? Well, the word itself literally means cleanliness and purity, but it's way more than just washing your hands. In its technical sense, it's a specific purification process Muslims perform before acts of worship, like the daily prayers. It's less about getting physically clean and more about hitting pause on the world and getting into a state of spiritual readiness.
So that begs the question, right? How can a physical act of washing actually prepare you spiritually? What are the rules? What's the process? That's exactly what we're about to break down, step by step.
Now, like any important procedure, you can't just jump right into it. There's a pre-start checklist you've got to run through to make sure your wudu is even valid. Think of it like setting up your lab station before you start a big experiment. Everything has to be just right.
First up, let's talk about your resources. The water itself has to be clean and what's called absolute water. And don't worry, we'll get to what that means in a sec. But beyond the water, the container it's in and even the place where you're standing have to be permissible. This basically means you can't do a valid wudu using something you took without permission.
Okay, so this absolute water thing is a really key point. Absolute water is basically just water. Tap water, rainwater, water from a stream. Mixed water is when something else has been added that kind of changes what it is. Think about it. You wouldn't call a glass of juice water anymore, right? For wudu, it's got to be that pure absolute water. All right, next on the checklist, your body itself. The parts you're about to wash, your face, arms, head, and feet, they have to be clean of any physical gunk beforehand. And this is super important. There can't be anything blocking the water from actually touching your skin. We're talking thick paint, glue, even some types of nail polish. The water has to make direct contact. And finally, there are two big rules for the process itself. The first is tartib, which just means you have to do everything in the correct order, no skipping around. And the second is muwalat, which is all about continuity. You do the steps one after another without taking a long break in between. It helps keep your focus locked in.
Okay, with our pre-start checklist all done, we are ready for the main event. Let's walk through the 4 mandatory steps that are the absolute core of wudu.
And here they are, a simple 4-part sequence. Wash the face, wash the arms, wipe the head, and wipe the feet. It sounds pretty straightforward, but trust me, the magic is in the details. That's where the real focus comes from. First up, washing the face. And it's a really specific area, from your natural hairline down to the bottom of your chin and all the way across the space you can make between your thumb and your middle finger. And here's a key detail. You have to wash from the top down. It's like you're symbolically washing away the day's distractions to get some mental clarity. Next up, the arms. You start with your right arm and then you do your left. And just like with the face, direction is everything. You wash from the elbow all the way down to the fingertips. It's not just about getting them wet. It's a deliberate, conscious washing, getting these limbs ready for whatever good they're about to do. All right, now for a change of pace. Step 3 isn't washing. It's this specific kind of wiping called maskh. You don't get new water for this. Instead, you just use the moisture that's already on your right hand from washing your arms, and you gently wipe the front part of your head. It's a much lighter touch, symbolizing a kind of blessing for your thoughts. And the final step is wiping the feet. Again, just with the moisture that's left on your hands. You use your right hand for your right foot and your left hand for your left foot, wiping from the tips of your toes up to your ankle. It's this quiet, grounding action, almost like preparing you to stand for something bigger than yourself. So you've gone through the checklist, you've done the 4 steps, and now you're in this state of ritual purity. Awesome. But that state isn't permanent. There are certain things that basically hit the reset button, and you'll have to do wudu all over again. The main things that break your wudu are actually pretty intuitive. Natural things like using the bathroom, or states where you lose your awareness, like falling into a really deep sleep where you can't see or hear what's going on, or fainting. Basically, anything that pulls you out of a state of conscious presence means you need to renew your wudu. We've gone through the checklist, the water, the order, the actions, all of it. But there is one single element that underpins this entire process. One thing that, without it, none of these physical steps actually matter.
And that thing is niyyah, or your intention. You have to be doing wudu for a specific reason, to get closer to God and follow His command. If you just wash your face and arms because it's a hot day and you want to cool off, that's not wudu. The physical movements might be identical, but it's the internal why that gives the act all of its spiritual meaning.
And this brings us right back to where we started. By focusing our minds on a simple, structured, physical task, we clear out all the mental clutter and get ourselves ready for a much bigger purpose. In a way, this simple act becomes a bridge to a state of higher focus. So think about it. What are the small rituals you use to prepare your own mind?